Today I'm sharing what I've channeled around how important it is to release expectations around anything in the 3D, anything that will be happening, that's happening now will be happening ongoing. I'm speaking as for an example about what happened in this country on January 20th. There is a lot of people that are celebrating what happened on January 20th. I'm speaking about the person who has been put in place of this country, put in charge of this country, I guess. I'm watching my words on here. And there's also a lot of people who are angry and in fear. And number one, the first thing that's coming in, I channel groups of cosmic beings that are here to help us on our human journey. And they are always very supportive, but neutral. What's playing out right here in the 3D is, one of the things that's happening is it's helping people waking up ultimately to their spiritual nature, to the fact that their soul's in a human body. So the ultimate reason why we're here is to wake up and remember that. Now, there's many other reasons. There's karmic reasons. You're here to serve the collective. There's many other reasons why our soul chooses to come here. But the ultimate beautiful reason is to wake up and remember our divinity. So what we're seeing happening out in the 3D with the chaos, the floods, the fires, and specifically I'm addressing the political arena, is if you stay in observation mode and ride the wave, it's not going to impact your reality. You might think that who's in charge of a country is going to impact your reality, but in essence, what they're saying right now, it's how you respond. It's how you react that is actually creating your reality. So it's highly encouraged to move into a state of observation where you're kind of watching what's happening unfold like a movie that you're not emotionally connected to, just watching it unfold and allowing things to occur in the 3D that are supportive of us creating the new earth. That's what's happening right now. So many things are coming to the surface. Disclosure on truth of our world, of our systems. I have a whole playlist on the collapse of the systems and the glue that holds it together and where those were created and why they're around and what's happening to them. And as these things collapse, politics is one of the 4 pillars that are collapsing. There's a lot of things that are coming to the surface that are going to create shock and awe. And the more you move into observation mode and don't allow it to hijack your emotions or feel one way or the other, the easier you are going to, they're saying, coast through 2025 and beyond. So I want to address, I'm seeing a lot of, I guess, psychics and precogs and channels out there that are surprisingly invested in the political climate about who's quote unquote in charge of the country and this country or around the world, who's in charge of the country or not. And I'm surprised at how invested people are, especially channels and psychics are in this, because what I'm shown is that, number one, your soul does not come here pre-choosing its religion beliefs or its political beliefs. These are all things that were created in this 3rd dimension from a control perspective, control and greed, but they're also tools that our soul uses to help us learn lessons, evolve, and ultimately wake up to our divinity. So there is none of this in the soul realm. This is all just happening here on this planet, again, from a 3D perspective to control us and make us easier, continuing to forget who we really are, and causes us to feel disconnected. It causes dissension, it causes separation, and that is ultimately what we're here to overcome and wake up and remember that we're all connected. So when you're invested in, we'll say politics, when you're invested in one side or the other or one candidate over another, kind of what you're doing is you're saying that you're allowing that person or that outcome to dictate how you feel about life, how you're operating through life, and how you treat others. When in the end, they're all false systems. They're smoke and mirrors. They're illusions that were created in this 3D realm to keep us forgetting who we are. Ultimately, rising above all of this and no longer allowing one side of the coin or the other to manipulate how you feel and how you treat other people, that's ultimately in our highest good and our highest interest. And I'm being reminded right now of these groups of beings that I channel that are here to help us on our human journey. My day job is channeling soul contracts, the reasons why you're here, the reasons for your experiences. It's so healing when people can understand their traumas and their challenges and the deeper meaning behind that. You can check out my website for more information. What I'm being reminded is that when when this app was pending the ban, okay, over the last few months, in the days leading up to last weekend, I had close friends reaching out saying, are you scared? Are you worried about the ban? Because this is where I share my messages primarily. This is my primary channel. And I told them, no, the human side of me, the warrior side of me that's here to help create unity and community, gets a little, I gotta be honest, gets a little fired up sometimes when things are taken away from people. But ultimately, I know that part of me is kind of fading away. It's almost gone. Ultimately, I know, not just from channeling, but from the examples that have come through in my channeling sessions and constantly the messages that come through, ultimately, I know that when we are operating from observation mode, we're always going to be guided to our highest timeline. So if, for instance, this app was taken away, I trust, based on my previous experiences in life and being shown the pathway to a higher timeline for myself, I trust that it's all working out for my highest good. And I had no fear. Now, I have to admit, 5 years ago, when I first started waking up, I would have been feeling differently. But through my spiritual awakening and evolvement, I have been taught through channeling these beings, channeling source spirit, that everything is what we make of it. If we allow these things to cause us to feel fear and anxiety, that's what we're going to see more of in our life. Ultimately, our higher self is always guiding us to the highest timeline. So even if something is taken away from us, if we allow that to create anger, anxiety, or worry in our reality here, not only does that disconnect us from hearing our higher self guidance, but it creates a separation. It creates the very thing that we're moving out of, that we're trying to collapse. We're moving into unity and community. So understanding that everything that is happening right now and everything that is unfolding is in our highest good for many reasons, to help us wake up to our divinity, learn to operate in observation mode. When you're not impacted by the external situations happening in the world, then you won't be upset one way or the other, okay? Using politics as an example, not allowing yourself to be upset about which direction the political climate is moving creates so much more peace and joy in your life. You're connected to your higher self guidance, and you're going to start to magnetize more things in that are more joy and abundant aligned. And one last thing that they're bringing in here is that, again, this is a 3D concept. So when we're putting all of our eggs in a basket of someone's here to save us, there's going to be somebody more or less aligned to our benefit. That is giving your power away. You're basically saying somebody else is responsible for my happiness, and you're literally giving your power away. And that's another big reason why we're here, is to wake up and remember that we are the ones that are powerful. We're the ones that are here to save us. Now, I use that term tongue-in-cheek a little bit, because again, we chose to be here to experience certain things, and there's nothing to save us from, which you will see once you start moving into a more neutral perspective and look at things from an observation mode, and not getting caught up in the push and pull. Now, one last thing that they've shared with me is that, and they've been sharing this with me over the last few months, as I've been seeing other psychics and channels say that what actually happened Monday was not going to happen. I started tapping into it myself, and what they showed me is that depending on the collective consciousness level and what we want as a collective, if as a collective we want community and unity, and we turn away from injecting our energy into wanting a certain outcome for who's in charge of a country, as an example, and then we start directing our energy into creating our own life, creating community, creating unity, anything can happen. What happened on Monday in this country so many twists and turns could still happen. But the more you're invested in a 3D story, the more you're going to be disappointed in whatever the outcome is appearing in the 3D reality. Remember, this is very spiritual what's going on. So just because you see or hear something out there on social media or the news, hopefully you're not watching the news, but just because you see or hear something out there does not mean that's actually what's happening. There is a lot more happening behind the scenes, ultimately, to help us with our awakening, which is going to be best maneuvered over the next few years by moving into observation mode. So I hope this helps. Please drop your questions and comments. And what are you seeing out there? And if you've moved into observation mode, how have you done that? Please share with others. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.